Joining me now is Missouri Senator Eric Schmitt, a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. Senator, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. From your standpoint on the Armed Services Committee, what does the security guarantees look like? What should they look like from the U.S. side?
Well, I think President Trump has already made clear it doesn't mean U.S. troops on the ground. I think by and large, that's what the NATO members are going to be discussing. What is it the European allies are going to do? I think, you know, President Trump's been preaching for a long time, Europe needs to step up in a more meaningful way for their own defense. And so I think this will be a part of that discussion. I don't want to get out in front of this is probably the most sensitive aspect, I think, of this negotiation, but it shouldn't be lost, as you said, truly historic. And this is because one man, the only person in the world who can broker this kind of peace deal, decided he wanted to do it. In addition to all the other ones that he's done in the last 6 or 7 months, this truly is sort of the deal maker in chief, the peace president. He's spending his time trying to resolve a conflict where 1 million people have died, thousands die each month. And he is trying to bring the parties together to find some resolution. And I think that's what American leadership really looks like. You didn't see this at all from the Biden administration. Their only solution was a blank check and no plan. But President Trump is trying to bring the parties to the peace table, which is a good thing for everybody.
Well, it's unbelievable. I mean, this is a serious change in what we've been seeing. You're right. We hadn't seen any efforts to stop this war before President Trump returned to office. Meanwhile, California Republicans are suing to block Governor Newsom's plan to redraw California's congressional House map. I want to get your take on this because Assemblyman Tree Ta represents California's 70th Assembly District. He writes this on X. California's Constitution requires bills to be in print for 30 days, but that safeguard was ignored. By bypassing the provision, Sacramento has effectively shut voters out of engaging in their own legislative process. Senator, what is this going to mean for Republicans?
Well, California's got a lot of legal hurdles to ever get to the place where Gavin Newsom wants to go. And I think ultimately what Gavin Newsom suffers from, not only from Trump derangement syndrome, but a borderline personality disorder. He's deciding each day who he wants to be to try to position himself. He's got a problem, though, the law in California's Constitution as relates to redistricting. And also the recent poll came out, Californians, even Democrats, don't support this effort. They have an independent commission, which, by the way, is already left-leaning. California probably has too many representatives already because of illegal immigrants being counted in the census. But he's trying to kind of make waves here by countering what other states are doing. And quite frankly, Republicans need to understand, I think, across the country, the Democrats have done this for a very, very long time. It's time that they've set the rules, and we need to play by the same rules. You know, you've got a lot of states, Maria, as you know, that have 45% Republicans with not one single congressional district that has a Republican in office. So, you know, we're going to do that in Texas and Missouri and other states. But what California's trying to do and Gavin Newsom's trying to make waves is patently illegal.
I want to get your take on what's going on in terms of the weaponization, Senator, because DNA Tulsi Gabbard is now removing the security clearances of 37 current and former intelligence officials, saying that they manipulated the intelligence. This is what we have found from all of these disclosures. It includes Joe Biden's former Assistant Secretary of State for Intelligence and Research, Brett Holmgren, former Principal Deputy Director of National Intelligence, Stephanie O'Sullivan. She's accused of being involved in the Obama-era probe into Russian influence in the 2016 election, of course, the Russia collusion lie, which was a complete nonsense story. Senator, your reaction to Tulsi Gabbard taking away their security clearances?
Well, I think this is Tulsi Gabbard has provided the information, so we're having a level of transparency we've never seen before, and may explain one of the reasons why the Democrats were so terrified President Trump would get back into office. So he's exposing all of this. And now we're reaching the beginning of the accountability phase here. And I think this is just the beginning. I think indictments are going to come. I think indictments should come. The idea that a Soros organization colluded with Hillary Clinton to produce a fake Steele dossier that was then laundered through our intelligence agencies, not only to spy on President Trump, but to try to sideline an administration that was elected by the American people, is a big, big deal. And there needs to be accountability here. And the way I think you probably get past the statute of limitations issues is a conspiracy charge. And I think that's where this might be headed. So Clapper, Comey, Brennan, and others probably ought to lawyer up.
Well, I mean, look, I spoke with Ed Martin on Sunday, who is overseeing the weaponization unit at the Department of Justice, and he makes the point that many of those same people that were in that meeting in December of 2016, where Obama told all his deputies to go push this Russia collusion Trump story, those same people are still trying to stop President Trump today. Watch this.
We know the birthday of the Russia hoax. It's December 8th, 2016, where the Obama administration, including Obama, said, don't put the truth out, lie. And then we had the Russia hoax that went on for 10 years. And every time they get in trouble, meaning the deep state and others, they throw another hoax out. And all we're doing at DOJ and all we're doing across the government is saying, get the truth out. When you're a liar, you lie not just on one thing. When you're a cheater, you cheat not just on one thing. When you're doing corruption, you generally don't just do it on one thing. So we have that's our what we're asked to do as prosecutors. It's always the same. The same people on December 9th, 2016, in the Situation Room in Obama's White House are playing the same game all these years.
That's unbelievable. So, I mean, what's the take here, Senator? We never see accountability for any of this. Is it finally that time?
It is. I think the time is now. It's also, it's hard to overstate how this infected so many other things. And I wrote about it in the book, Maria, Last Line of Defense. And if you remember, we brought the Missouri versus Biden lawsuit when I was Missouri Attorney General. Even in those depositions, think of the deposition of Elvis Chan, who was the FBI guy in Northern California. They used this Russian hack and leak nonsense to justify suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop story. They were telling big tech giants, look out for a Russian hack and leak effort, and it's going to involve Hunter Biden, according to a Twitter executive in an affidavit. So they use this not just to try to prevent him from being president the first time, not only just to sideline, him in his first term, but then to try to keep him out of office and lose elections afterwards. That's how deep the rot was. And so there absolutely ought to be accountability here. And, the time is now.
I mean, it's been 10 years. It's been 10 years of scandal, one lie after the next, and it has tainted President Trump's perception and his reputation. The president, meanwhile, gave you a huge shout out on that book. Congrats on the book, The Last Line of Defense. We just showed it on screen, How to Beat the Left in Court. The president writes this: Eric is a fighter who beat back Biden's disastrous policies as AG, and in the U.S. Senate has been working hard to defend our America First agenda from the radical left. Senator, tell us about the book.
Yeah, this really is kind of a playbook from what it was like to be on the front lines of the fight. You got to remember when President Trump and his allies were out of office, this was the time of lockdowns, of compulsory COVID shots, of DEI struggle sessions, of a vast censorship enterprise. And we stood up and we took those cases to the Supreme Court on the vaccine mandates, on the student loan debt forgiveness case. We took those to the Supreme Court. We won. We took on mask mandates in local schools. So this really is the behind the scenes story of what it means to fight back and win. And I think your viewers are going to love it. There's inside stories of what was it like to take the deposition of Anthony Fauci? What was it like to take the deposition of Elvis Chan that I referenced earlier? All these fights really were to hold the line until the cavalry arrived. And President Trump was able to pull that off in November of 2024 when the fever finally broke. So I think people are going to enjoy it. They can get it on Amazon right now.
All right, we will do that. Thank you so much, Senator. Good to see you. Eric Schmitt this morning in Missouri.
Thanks,
We'll be
Maria.
right back.